Hey George, so a quick video again on 3D Coat and using it for a variety of reasons. This ring, when it was made, was going to be milled. I think probably there's a picture of it somewhere in 3D CAD, and when I drew one quadrant and then I mirrored and I mirrored. I wasn't paying too much attention to what's happening underneath because it was all going to be burred out with a burr. Okay, so sloppy modeling. Some people would call it optimum modeling because it didn't bother with the areas I wasn't going to reach with the milling machine anyway. Irrespective, what you have is you have bunches of overlapping geometry. When you try to boolean this, you're going to get boolean fails because there are concurrent planes and concurrent seams, and you're going to end up with bazillions of little naked edges. Any of the Rhino modelers that watch this looking inside here are going, oh my god, and they're busy pooping in their pants even thinking about trying to mesh this out for a grower. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to send this to 3D Coat to weld it all together. So you've got all these 100,000 little bits and pieces, and we're just going to turn that off. I'm going to grab them all. We're going to run an export. I'll leave this full tutorial for you. I've been using that name, temp for blend obj, for just about everything now. I'm going to go yes, and just go OK, and go OK. And really what we're going to do is we're going to blend the whole thing together. So while that's waiting, we're going to fire up 3D Coat. Okay. And just close this off. File, import mesh for voxelizing. Temp for blend, and this is quite a detailed piece. I think we need to come up, instead of 2 or 3 million polys, I'm thinking maybe 6 or 7 million polys. Alright, so start by scaling with 3000. Have a look, how much does that give us? 7 million polys. I keep telling you, that's 3000 is a pretty magical number. I think that's probably going to be alright for us. I'm just going to go apply as is. Whoopsie. I'm just going to go apply, click yes, come on. Click yes and click on smooth just to bring us in there. So what I'm going to do before I start blending is, this is quite mucky. If you wanted to have this grown, that over there is looking very, very messy. Alright, so I'm going to apply a symmetry plane to this. I don't have to work twice. I think that's over the y-axis, oops, over the x-axis, and I'm going to work on just the one half. Alright, and I might shade that part up so it's a little bit easier to see. Well, it's going to be easier to see. Go on. There we go. Got my smooth brush out. I'm going to set it quite low, and I'm going to set it even in. Whoa, too hard. Control Z. Set my smoothing down. And all I want to do really is just blend this into the base of the ring a bit so that it doesn't look as horrible when you lay the render on its side to do a render. Okay, remembering this is going underneath a collet somewhere, and that's just blending it in beautifully there. I'm doing this prior to running the general smooth, so what will happen is when we do the general smooth, it'll even it in even more. You with me? Okay, so again, do what I call adaptive modeling. Just do what you need to. Anything more than that is a waste of time. Alright, if this happens to show from underneath the render for some other reason, it'll look good, and that's all we need. Alright, so I'm going to turn off that symmetry plane off, no symmetry, and we're just going to run a couple of smooth alls. Okay, so I'm going to run down here, run it one smooth all. Let's have a look. What I like to do is just zoom in, make sure that I'm not overdoing it. Okay, run another smooth all, and another one. I think probably that's going to be enough. Alright, and we're down to about 4 million polys. Alright, I think that's enough to bring back into Rhino for us. We don't have a poor man's computer, we got a nice one, so we can go for it. So file and export. Export the object to, I'm going to call it blended. Now if you were doing this at home and you were in Rhino 4, you want to bring that poly count down to about 2 million. Alright, and you would do that here. You would decimate it by half. I'm going to export both. Alright, I'm going to export that at half, and we just have a look. It might make it a little crunchy. 2 million poly is around about a good. I'm going to hide all of these, and I'll maybe create a new layer, NURBS, and copy all of the change object layer, and then turn that layer off. And then have we finished importing, exporting? Oopsie. Yeah. Alright, so import our blended object. And be a little bit patient because you're gonna be pulling in a big thing. Rhino is actually telling me not responding, but it will respond in a second. Okay, so let's go have a look in here, and then I'll export the 4 million poly, and you can have a look. And basically what you can see here is you now have one object that's pretty much blended right around. It looks good. It's visually appealing in here, which means it's going to be visually appealing in the render. So let's go to our rendered view. Okay, and that's looking pretty much alright. Let's turn our gems on. I would say that you're now ready to take this job back into Matrix or carry on in V-Ray, whatever it is you want to do. And that piece is beautifully, beautifully finished. I'm going to just apply material to this. We need probably a different environment. Rhino interior. No. Why is it selecting that the whole time? Not entirely sure why it's selecting that ring every time I try and change the environment, but okay, that's a Rhino glitch. Alright. But the actual part is beautiful. It's ready to be worked. I'm going to hide all of that. And this might just be a glitch in Rhino. Rhino interior. There we go. Let's show the part. For some other reason, it keeps jumping onto that part. Ooh, Rhino interior looks even worse. Alright, quite yellowy. I'll do a render of that and we can have a bit of a play with it. I'm going to pause this video while I do the render. Sorry, I just looked at the time. No time to do a render. Alright, I'll leave that mesh on the desktop for you to render, matey. As you can tell, no matter how we look at this ring, we now have a nice, beautifully blended piece. All the parts are together and it's one single mesh. All those little problems we had in there are all gone. All the blends are nicely blended together. The piece looks finished. Okay, quite important I think for the rendering that we're doing now. Alright matey, catch you later. Cheers, Chris out.